In this short video, we're going to walk through the new user setup, what profile to assign those new users, and also I'll show you to understand how many user licenses you have allotted and or left within your Salesforce organization. So in order to log in, just feel free to log in. It is good to note that this is a system administrator function. Ask that the system admin or the person that has a heightened level of technical ability with Salesforce perform this function. You do have to be a system administrator in order to create new usernames and or edit your users. So it is good to note as well that we set up 4 primary profiles as well as 4 primary apps within Salesforce. So those 4 profiles, those 4 apps are called this: YFC Data Processing, YFC Development, YFC Program Staff, YFC Marketing. The profiles and the apps correspond together just to be the default place when people log in first. So for instance, if you're a program staff, you probably don't need to see all the click and pledge information or batch data entry and some of the more robust functionality of Salesforce. Let's just click on program staff. And it's going to be a much more simple view. So there's, you see, individuals, accounts, staff, and reports. Like I said, this is just the bone structure of this base box profile setup. So based on what profile you select is what app, these are called apps, that user will log in as and they'll see as a default. Hopefully that makes sense. They can navigate to different areas if they like to, but that's really the only customization that's happened now. We didn't want to create too many restrictions as it can create funnels and bottlenecks for some organizations. Obviously restrictions can be set up, and we'll be talking about that, about profile restrictions in the future. This is really just to understand users and what profile to assign them. So in order to set up a new user, you're going to want to go to your setup screen, hit the setup button on the top right column, top right row, sorry. And then you're going to want to find users. So here's manage users, and then click on users. So for this example, so when you click on users, you're going to see your users. Because we're using a developer org, we're only allowed 2 Salesforce licenses. If you got the Salesforce Foundation license, you got 10 Salesforce licenses. So you should know based on who is active as to who's using those licenses right now. There's different license allotments even within those 10, so I'll cover those here, but what I'm going to do is just quickly click into here because I'm going to edit a record versus create a new. It's going to look almost exactly the same. Instead of going into edit, just simply click new on that previous screen, and you're just going to want to fill out the information. So for an example, I'll just go ahead and do this. Let's say we're going to set up a Joe Smith, say it's Joe at yfc.org. Anyway, I always recommend doing the same email address as username. Just really makes it one less thing you have to memorize in order to log in. It'll create automatic nickname. Let's say he's going to be the executive director at YFC Minnesota. And then you want to choose your license type. Roles aren't too applicable right now. That's a higher level of restrictions. But your user license is going to be Salesforce, just straight up Salesforce. And then you want to pick your profile. And this is where you're going to see those 4 different profiles that have been set up. It's good to know that the 4 profiles are just clones of the system admin. So as far as privileges and permissions, the door is really wide open for all these profiles until you set those specific restrictions per your chapter. So based on whatever type of workflow they do, if they're data entry or maybe they're a technical person or maybe there's someone helping out on marketing or development, these are the 4 primary roles that are set up right now. And then you'll just want to go through the box. So active. It's good to note that if you click on marketing users, then you'll be able to see campaigns, the campaigns tab. If it's not marketing selected, you won't be able to see campaigns. You can walk through some of these. A lot of these are pretty non-applicable. You probably won't see offline user, probably won't see Service Cloud user or the Salesforce Classic. A lot of these you can uncheck, not very applicable to where we're at right now. Salesforce One, this is one that is important for your Salesforce One mobile application, whether you have an Android or an iPhone. If you click that, then that'll bring you there. So a lot of this is some development backend information. If it's not checked, 99% of the time you're not going to need it. And yours may look a little different. Like I said, this is a development organization. You can put in there contact information, phone number, mobile, mailing address. It's also good to set the locale setting. So based geographically where they are, you're going to want to pick the right time zone. Obviously English for most of us. Approver settings. Until you set up profiles, you're really not going to deal with profiles or approvers or management settings. And then last but not least, receive the newsletter. It's all up to your discernment if you want them to see the administrator newsletter. But if you are setting up a new user, it's good to note within Salesforce you cannot see passwords. So if someone says, can you tell me my password, you cannot see anybody's password within Salesforce. Only thing you can do is generate a new password and notify user immediately. So if you click that and hit save, that would send them an email with a link. They create a new password and they're done that way. Obviously I don't want to save this because this would rewrite this record. But if you want to reset a password on here as well, so as soon as you hit save, it's going to be good to go. They're going to get an email and they can log in right from there. So get an overview of that user. Let's go back to users now. You can see who's active. You can do a quick function if you want to reset passwords. You can select those people, hit reset passwords, and that can all get blasted out right away. So last but not least, I also want to show you your company information. So if you type in company, you gotta spell it right first. So if you find company information within Salesforce under company profile, company information, you scroll down, you're going to see what type of user licenses you're allotted within your organization. Like I said, we're in a developer org, so we've got a whole bunch of different licenses that we're available to use. But your primary license that you're going to use is called Salesforce. So if you got that grant, you should see 10 total licenses. You can see how many used, how many are remaining. So that's where you can really audit the trail of who's in, who's not in, and all that that entails. So hopefully this answers your questions on how to add a user, select their appropriate profile, you can reset their password, and then see how many user licenses you have left and or available. Thanks for your time.